Well, hey everyone. Started to catch you all up. First of all, welcome. Just started the stream a little late today because I had I'll call it a white knuckle descent out of the mountains behind me. And a lot of that was on Interstate 8. And I just wanted to focus there and not on this. So thank you in advance for your patience for that. But I'm down here now and on Route 98 heading in towards Calexico, paralleling the U.S. southern border. In fact, when I went through Jacumba this morning, I swear I could have probably tossed a frisbee at the border. So right, pretty close. And as you see, it's a beautiful day. And we're in the California desert here. I got about, 28 miles or so to get to Calexico, and then on into El Centro for the evening. But yeah, that descent was pretty wild. Riding interstate is new to me. Never done that before. So I've done it twice here. Just kind of give you all perspective. If you've ridden any mountains on interstates in your car and on the descents where you see the warnings of slopes and trucks. So the truck speed was posted at 35 miles an hour, and there were truck turnoff points, you know, in case they had a brake failure or something. So that gives you kind of the idea of the slope. But I was very surprised. The shoulder was very wide, very smooth. But you know, the usual, you have to be on the lookout for the usual suspects of debris in the shoulder. So all the things that can potentially create a hazard for bikes. So it was that, and just wanted to make sure I got down safely and stayed focused. But Route 98 here, pretty innocuous. And just invite you all to take in the view while I catch my breath. Joined today again by John on the moderator side. He'll be taking your questions, and he's in my ear, so I'm happy to answer questions you may have. And we'll probably, stream 20-30 minutes or so today, and then I'll get into Calexico. That's right on the border, southern border, and then I turn north a little bit into El Centro for the night, and then head into Winter Haven tomorrow. So John's telling me Ed's in chat, so welcome, Ed. Glad to have you. We got another, yep. Go ahead, John. So got another donation this morning. We're over $12,000 to our $100,000 goal. So, and I think that came from our future neighbors. So thank you for that. A little bit, yeah. Go ahead, John. So we're 12,083 as of today. And so we've got 2.5 months to, a little less than 2.5 months, hopefully. So catch everybody up. I took 4 days to get over the mountains It's a little longer than I wanted, but the had a weather day in there, and then just the climbing is relentless with the weight on the bike and the trailer, so just really have to kind of take what the course gives you, as they say. But so far so good here on the flats. You can kind of move along pretty well. So John's prompting me because I'm kind of still catching my breath from that descent, and then now I'm kind of pushing a steady pace here to get to Calexico. But had a John's question was how I got it started in cycling. Most of my background's in running. Ran cross country in college and ran several marathons early in my Army career, and it wasn't until I got to University of North Carolina that I learned about triathlon. It's a really big community up there, and so it was kind of had some friends in the university when I was in graduate school there that were into triathlon, and so I kind of jumped on the bandwagon and started cycling, and that was 21 years ago, I guess now, and kind of built up an endurance to race Ironman, and had the privilege of doing 3 Ironman triathlons, but that was a long time ago. My last one was lottery slot for Ironman Hawaii in 2003, I think. So I think around 2008 I kind of drifted away from triathlon and got a little more focused on the bike. Got orders for Europe and fell in love with European cycling. Did several of the routes in Tour de France. Just, there's amateur routes you can do, and a lot of the French climbing and the Alps, and then some of my favorite riding was cobblestone riding in northern France, Belgium. So no stranger to cycling, but this is completely different. And of course you add 15 years to the body, and it adds to the complexity of suffering, I guess. So a little more about cobblestone riding. It's actually this time of year, March, early April. For cycling fans, it's called the Spring Classic season, and cyclists race on farm roads, actually, and a lot of the farm roads in Belgium and France have cobblestones, and many of the famous cobblestone sectors, now they're probably 2 or 3 kilometers in length each sector. The whole race, like Paris-Roubaix, I think is, forgive me, I'll just forget the whole distance, but it's around 200 kilometers. And so, yeah, the cobblestones are part of it. In Paris-Roubaix, a lot of the cobblestone sectors were actually installed during Napoleon's era, so a couple hundred years ago. Same cobblestones. So picture like taking a bag full of cobblestones, throwing them out of a helicopter onto a road, and that's what you have to ride across. Really, really bumpy. It's like riding a jackhammer, I guess would be the best way I could describe it. Look, 24 miles to Calexico. Cool. Well, so people who know me, I picked the wrong sport. 6'3", 210 pounds. So the average, I'll say average, Tour de France cyclist is probably 5'6", 5'7" in height, 150 pounds, 55 pounds, and they're riding a 15-pound bike. So you do the math. I've got over 90 pounds of weight that I'm hauling, plus my size, and it's just a different math equation. But the cobblestone riding, those lighter athletes, they, especially if it's wet, they have a hard time staying upright on the cobblestones, whereas a guy like me, I just brute force, and I kind of stayed upright, and I kind of found a passion in the cycling and the cobbles. So check it out, second week of April. I think they're going to have the race this year in Paris-Roubaix. They ride from a little suburb of Paris up to Roubaix, so it's pretty cool. All right. Glad to have Shirley along for the ride. Let me put my aviator skills to the test here. I'm going to guess we have, well, it's unlimited visibility, so in aviation language, that's 7. But I could probably see 25, 30 miles, I would say. You probably can't see it, but my right, your left, off in the distance. It's probably hard to see on camera, but I can see the southern border wall. Some kind of paralleling as we go. Okay. Yeah, just below it, you kind of view. Yeah, so we can kind of see the border wall. Yep. Seeing cool. Go ahead. Yep. So Randy Gamble, I think, is asking a question about the temperature. I think the high here today is going to be 80. It was, I think, 45 when I left Boulevard, just because I was up in the mountains. But oh, that's interesting. So I see a border agent like grooming the sand. I guess that's so they can see footprints. Interesting. So yeah, it's about 80 degrees here today, I would imagine. Lots of space, lots of airspace out here. Question on the aviation side. I mean, I was up in Boulevard, and I guess there was just a lot of Border Patrol helicopters, Black Hawks flying up and down the border last night, and there was an airstrip in Jucumba, but I didn't see any airplanes there. So, and forgive me for the locals. I'm probably mispronouncing the names, so forgive me. Just correct me on chat if I get it wrong. So John asked a question about proximity of cars to riders. So you can see here I have a really nice bike lane. This is probably the best I've seen all day. The interstate was a very generous bike lane. It's just had a lot of debris, and the speeds I was going with the traffic. Now I will say on the interstate, on the white line, they had one of those rumble strips, so that kind of was a signal to traffic to steer clear of the shoulder. But yeah, but again, this is a published route. This is the Southern Tier bike route for those of you out there. You can actually look it up. Sponsored by the Adventure Cycling Association. Actually have all the maps, and so it's been vetted, so to speak, for cyclists. I'm not making it up as I go, just to reassure everyone. I'm following a published route. Okay, cool. WD Sapper, I know who that is. Rich and Evelyn, awesome. Glad they could join. I'm going to apologize it, but then right away not apologize for it, because on the picture-in-picture, normally we have a bigger picture-in-picture view, but I literally had to set up the stream on the side of this road today, and when I set up in the hotel, I use a network connection and get a few more features. So I just use the basic features, and so that's why the picture's a little smaller today in the lower right. But so I don't apologize for that, because I'm still cursing Matt for making me do the picture-in-picture, because that was probably 10 more pounds of weight. But yeah, so I want to give you all a better view anyway. Shout out to all my veteran friends out there. We continue this ride, creating awareness for veterans who have been impacted by COVID-19, and yeah, certainly seen trickles along the way of, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's kind of giving me a first-hand view of the impact on the economy. As you would imagine, all the things we have heard with respect to restaurants and service industries that have had tremendous impacts. So Wounded Warrior Project's Warriors to Work program has great connections for veterans, obviously seeking employment, but also with supporting them to kind of with making connections with industry. And so we'll continue that discussion as we go. This is just totally different from Florida, so I got stuck in the moment there for a second. Camera doesn't do it justice, I'm sure. You get a chance to come out here, it's oh, cool. Oh, cool. So John dropped the route into chat, so I invite everybody to click the link there. it's a little daunting. I'm on, the first map set from San Diego to Tempe. I got 6 to go, and I'm not even halfway to Tempe. But as I said, the first 4 days in the mountains were relentless. This is an interesting view. For those of you who are fans of Forrest Gump, that's what this road reminds me of. That long, straight stretch. So John's asked the question if I've ever been run off the shoulder. I haven't physically been run off the shoulder. As you all can see, I'm wearing a mirror. This is, and I've got 2 mirrors on my drop handlebars, so I can kind of see where the trailer is. But back in racing, this mirror would be considered no-go, because you wouldn't, the cool factor would be pretty low if you put a mirror on your glasses, but not to mention the sun brim hat I'm wearing. But out here the equipment's different. Forgive me, I got something caught in my throat. So the mirror absolutely helps me to see cars in the rearview mirror, and so I can make an evasive action if I need to. I haven't been that close where I've been touched or anything, but I usually see it coming. Yeah. And we'll talk safety here for a second. I've got many years in Army aviation, and safety's paramount, and of course safety's #1 factor out here, which is why I got started a little bit late. I didn't want to video the descent. I wanted to stay focused. Here, so you can see, it's pretty innocuous, so we can chat. Just try to flex the times a little bit based on the route. John's asking me, put me on the spot for some couple cool questions here. I just have to think about it. He's asking me what's the craziest thing I've seen and what's the most interesting thing I've seen in years of cycling. Let me tell a little story. We were at the Tour of Flanders in Belgium, and my wife and I were there, and we were watching the race, and we were towing a pet trailer with our pet in it, Magnus. And so people who know us know Magnus. He's a little Westie. And I wanted to go up and be cool and check out the climb on the cobbles, because one of the cobblestone climbs is the Koppenberg, and I think it's probably 20 to 22% steep climb. And if it's wet, even pro cyclists get off. Pro cyclists will get off and walk the bike. So it's actually, pretty up close and personal. Of course, Anne-Marie stayed at the bottom of the descent, where they were going to come off the descent. And then there was a turn, and she was just going to be down there, and she had her camera. And I was like, I came off, I'm like, wow, that was totally cool. She's like, I was down here on Crash Corner. There was, I guess the whole peloton missed the turn, and she got rapid fire photos of the the cyclist coming off the bike and going into the ditch, and she ended up on Velo News, and I just have a memory. So that was the craziest thing I've seen in cycling. Of course, I wasn't on the bike at that time. Well, I was, but I wasn't in the race, obviously. Yeah. All right, staying strong. Mom's in, says stay strong, so I'll do my best. Got a little bit of a rise here. Well, how long have we been streaming, John? "25 minutes, okay. You know, just because it's 80 and I've got the streaming equipment kind of buckled up in the trunk rack, so I think what I may do is wrap it up for the day and shut that equipment down so it doesn't overheat. Sorry, I'm a IT guy. I think about stuff like that. Garrett's question, furthest I've ever gone in one day. Well, I'll say back 15 years ago, probably I did. We used to train in hours, so for triathlon, they do these things called bricks, bike to run combination, and I'd do 100 miles on the bike and then go run 2 hours. But those days are long. Well, the Ironman's 112 and then a marathon. You have no idea how far a marathon is until you bend down to tie your shoes at 3:30 in the afternoon after you've swam 2.4 miles and ridden 112 miles and your legs are cramping and you still have to run a marathon. So those days are long behind me. But I will say, you said the most interesting, I did twice my age on New Year's Day this year. So I did 108 miles. But I didn't have any load, so I can't really declare any victory. I was on my fast bike. Yeah, this is, well, I'll tell you another interesting part about this bike packing is you have to change your perspective, because your brain wants to go, my age, 16, 18 miles an hour, and you just have to be content with 10 to 12 on flats or less, 8 to 10. You just have to know so you have to reprogram your brain, just be patient. So, so Jordan's question is, how did I prepare for West Coast terrain? Living in Florida, I'll tell you another story. There's a famous climb in the Tour de France called Alpe d'Huez, and it's famous because it's usually the last climb of the day of a critical stage, and there are 21 switchbacks, and I think the average gradient percent on the climb is, 11%, 10, 11%. and it's 9-10 miles climb. And yeah, so it's, you know, it's just when you look at what you think a climber should be and where they come from, I was just really surprised to see the Dutch riders from the Netherlands, which is flat as Florida, who were amazing climbers. And I was like, how in the world do they come from Holland and are able to climb those steep grades? And as it turns out, the way you train for it is you get into a big gear, and Holland is known for the winds, and so is Florida this time of year. So I'd get into big gears and go out and ride into a 30-mile-an-hour headwind. But all that to say, that didn't work. It's heavy out here, and there were, as you all saw the first few days, it was pretty substantial. Which makes me think, like, those are nothing compared to what's coming up in New Mexico, and I think I top out at 8,300 feet. So I'm already working with the team here, and we're thinking about some options of maybe leapfrogging some of the streaming equipment forward to Texas. Maybe do some streaming light through those mountains, maybe with one camera. I'm sure you all will forgive me if you only see one camera and maybe 10-minute streams a day, at least until I get over the mountains. Then when I get back, you know, in East Texas, and pick it all back up and back to normal. But you know, I can ride like this. This is pretty flat, and it's not a big deal. Of course, I'll be riding into shape too, riding each day. So, how's the quality coming through there, John? Okay, all right. Okay. You may not be able to see it with the camera because there's a lot of scrub brush here. But if you can look over my right, your left, there's a long stretch of the border wall that's paralleling this road. My right, you can kind of see some mountain range in the background there. And okay, yeah, fair. Forgive me. When I'm pointing, that's why I say that. Right side of the forward-facing camera. Okay. WD Sapper asked a good Army question on laundry. So I actually put a lot of thought into laundry. So I have 3 kits. These are called kits, 3 cycling kits. And so I just rotate those. So the most I have to go is 3 days, then just, you know, you gotta do laundry, you gotta ride one again. And I just have one kind of off-riding outfit that includes some, you know, layers and things like, you know, light jacket and stuff like that. But the cool factor there is using a product that it looks like a dryer sheet, but it's actually soap. So they're very light. You can pack a ton of them in there without a lot of weight. And so I have enough laundry detergent to last several weeks. That's kind of cool. Yeah, this one's wide open here. Wide open. And just a little bit of down, not much, but just enough to get a little speed. That's on the Mexico side. I thought I reconned it before I took off today, and forgive me, I just don't remember the name of it. I want to say it was the Jacumba Wilderness or something, but I could be wrong. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up for the day. I'm going to get focused on getting into Calexico here and refuel stop, and then into El Centro tonight. Next stop tomorrow is Winter Haven, which is kind of right on the Arizona border, and it's on the California side, but so that's Saturday, and I should be in Arizona by Sunday. I just had to do like public math in my head because we've got daylight savings coming up. And so Arizona, I understand, stays on standard time. They don't go to daylight time. So once I get to Arizona Sunday, I go forward an hour. But then next weekend on daylight savings time, I stay on that time. And then when I get to New Mexico, I guess I go another hour. And then to Texas another hour. No extra charge for that pretty cool information, but just trying to manage time. My wife says, just look at my Apple Watch, it'll tell me what time it is. Yeah, so you know, kind of the sleep cycle and the question on circadian rhythm. Obviously, we train a lot on that in aviation, but I got to California. First thing I did was take my shoes off, went to the beach, kind of got grounded in the time zone. That helped. Essential oils are super helpful. Staying up with the health aspect of it. So yeah, just trying to manage that, because this is a health and wellness exercise as much as it is cycling. You really got to eat healthy, and you can really get discouraged if you look at this road here, and you can push as hard as you want, and after about 10 minutes when you're burned out, you look in front of you and you're like, man, I got 2,000 more miles to go. So anyway, all right, let's wrap it up, John. Anything, final thoughts you want me to share? Yeah, a little less uphill for Q's. Yep. So once I get in Arizona, it's a kind of not a big climb, but a slow climb up into Phoenix. So a lot of dead space. So as we wrap up today, just kind of remind everybody what we're doing. And we got Team Dust Off here. I'm Dave, as you know, and CEO of Dust Off Technologies. I was a Dust Off pilot for 9 years. I mentioned my aviation background, so it's kind of the branding. We've got a great team behind us here who's doing the moderating on Twitch and Instagram and and on YouTube, all the channels. So John, who's at the helm today, actually has a degree in development of gaming software, so he's amazed at the rate at which Twitch has developed, and he's doing a great job helping us out here. So we're riding to raise awareness for veterans affected by COVID-19 and supporting the Wounded Warrior Project. They're just they're great partners in this. They've done a great job supporting me, and they're connecting us with media. Honestly, they're learning Twitch, and we interviewed in San Diego, and they were learning what Twitch was, and so kind of think of one of Malcolm Gladwell's books. You know, we're kind of a big fish in a little pond here, rather than a little fish in a big pond. We're kind of breaking new ground in the Twitch network, principally a gaming platform, but we think we're doing something innovative here, and using this platform to raise awareness for the cause. So appreciate everyone joining the journey. We'll do our best to live stream. We had a great plan to schedule our live streams every single day and be predictable, and we're trying, but as you see, like today, it's a lot safer to stream here than what I went through earlier. But we'll finish up 60, 65 miles today, but a lot of that was downhill, so it's all good. Hopefully we'll talk to you tomorrow. And today, 65 miles today from where I started to the end point in El Centro. Yeah, I did 21 yesterday, but a lot of that, again, is mountain. You know, that's why I don't measure it in distance, I measure it in time. Because you can get really discouraged. So day one, it took me 7.5 hours total time on the bike. It's not just riding, but that stops to go 40 miles. So that's relentlessly slow. And then I think I did 14 miles day two, then I had a rest day, and I did 21. And so coming off the mountain today, 65. All right, John, let's wrap it up, I guess. So John wants to ask one more question, and then we'll go a couple more minutes here. Plan tomorrow is leaving El Centro and kind of ride a lot of the service roads along I-8. I think the distance is about 55 miles. So I'm going to get an early start, and there's a long stretch without service, sort of like this. So I'm going to have to carry a lot of water. So I'm going to probably get an early start. We'll see how it goes on the stream side, but do our best to check in tomorrow, because you all can, depending on what time zone you're in, have a cup of coffee with us, and we'll catch you up. That's it. Thanks for coming out, everyone, and just waving at the border agent.